Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a Fast Chat hosted by wardsauto.com. I'm Tom Murphy, Managing Editor of Wards Auto, and I'm joined today by Gabe Garoni, Senior Vice President of Sales for Ally Insurance. Gabe, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Tom. As always, appreciate it, and good morning.
Yeah, today we will be talking about challenges and solutions to selling and servicing today's high-tech vehicles. So let's get started. More battery electric vehicles are coming. Many have noted that this could have a negative impact on service revenue because of fewer maintenance requirements. But what opportunities exist for dealers in the electric vehicle space that could help offset that loss?
Well, I appreciate the question, Tom. And yeah, certainly it is noted that there's going to be a shift, certainly with battery electric vehicles, just far fewer components, quite frankly. If you look at just the pure regular services, certainly there are some services that an electric vehicle does not require that an internal combustion engine vehicle does. Oil changes, and engine air filter changes, transmission fluid. But there's actually a lot of overlapping services that are needed: tires, suspension components, cabin air filters, and other fluids that still exist in the vehicle. So there are some overlapping coverages. There's also some new opportunities when you think about the charging port on the vehicle and other electric motor replacement or repair needs. I think the real opportunity and what's really fascinating is the return rate of the electric vehicles. I think what's exciting about the OEMs really getting into the game is their support of the dealer network, the dealers being able to tool up and get the manpower needed to service these electric vehicles, and the consumer no longer being able to simply go to their local quick lube or local mechanic necessarily for expertise. So that retention rate, that return rate is going to be higher. That's a positive. And then just really thinking about, once again, some of those overlapping servicing needs that all vehicles require. So there is opportunity, but it is going to require a shift in mindset and being really intentional about how we approach electric vehicles.
All right. Cars are getting more and more complicated, and consumers often don't fully understand all the technology that's on board the vehicle. So what role can the dealers play to help guide consumers toward making the right equipment choices that will fit their needs?
This is going to sound cliche, Tom, but be a consumer, right? The best way to understand what consumers' needs is to be a consumer yourself. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone do what I tend to do, which is I tend to go really deep down the rabbit hole of anything I'm particularly interested in. But there's something to be said for fully understanding the consumer experience. I'll never forget one of the first cars I ever sold, and a customer called me not too long after taking delivery from the gas station because they didn't know how to open up the flap for the fuel pump. And it occurred to me, wow, I'm around these cars all day long. I guess I've lost my perspective on what it's like for a consumer that's getting into a car for the first time. You see, on the one hand, it's still just a vehicle, right? It's still just a mode of transportation. But the ownership experience is going to be dramatically different when we're talking about electric vehicles. So finding a way to duplicate that ownership experience for the dealers, I think is key to understanding what the customers are going to need to be made aware of when they purchase and own these vehicles.
Yeah. So then along those lines, what can dealers do better to ensure consumers understand how these technologies function and what they're capable of doing so they can better utilize those features while on the road and trust in their performance?
Yeah, well, I would say use those features. A lot of them are selling features, right? So when you think of demo rides and test drives, that's your first opportunity. I would say that for traditional vehicles, I think for most consumers, they understood the vehicle very well. But the truth is, Tom, regular internal combustion engine vehicles have gotten very complicated. And I think consumers don't even use most of the capabilities or the technology or what's been added to the vehicle today. What you're going to get, though, is with the later adopters as more offerings and more affordable electric vehicles come out to market, is consumers feeling like, okay, I am going to pay attention. I am going to try this stuff out during the test drive. I do want to feel comfortable with it because it is a very new experience. So I think during that demo ride, while you have the customer there and attentive, assuming you're a customer yourself and using those capabilities, think of something as intimidating as as self-driving capabilities. That's pretty intimidating. So understanding your demo drive route, having comfortability with it. Maybe you're just going to have to demo it for the customer as the driver first, and then swap at some other point. So maybe reimagining our demo rides is a good place to start.
So as advanced technology proliferates in these new vehicles, what are the hurdles and opportunities facing service operations?
Well, the hurdles are how we go about fixing these vehicles. I will, in full disclosure, I'm an electric vehicle owner myself, and of the issues I've had, all but one of them had somebody driving out to my home with a laptop and plugging it in and fixing my car right there in my driveway. That was tremendous. Right? That was really gave me a lot of comfort, and it was also a little intimidating, which is, wow, it didn't occur to me that on my cell phone, if a new app updates and it corrupts the way my phone operates, I have to depend on Apple to do an overnight update to fix these problems. The same is actually going to be true for a lot of these vehicles. So there's a lot of trust there. But that's also the opportunity, once again, requiring that expertise. To my earlier point, there's going to be a lot to learn with vehicles, and it expands into not only servicing vehicles, but resale values and valuations, and really how to approach electric vehicles. We have so much information on traditional vehicles that we've grown comfortable with approaching that market. This is going to be a learning curve for everybody involved.
Yep. So also vehicles are becoming more connected, and a number of new cars allow consumers to make purchases from inside their vehicles: pizza, gasoline, lots of things. And new features can be added through over-the-air updates. As you mentioned, what are the opportunities for dealers in the new connected vehicle economy?
I think it's just that. I think it's being more connected with the consumer. I know that from an F&I perspective, one of the key drivers of selling F&I products is being connected with that customer should they have an issue, and connecting them back to the selling dealer and keeping them in your ecosystem. Now you can stay connected with that customer at all times. And we've seen that development over time. We've seen, whether it's the OEM apps that connect you with the vehicle, or even some dealer-sponsored programs out there. But there's a way to connect with customers. Where the revenue streams may come from beyond that point, I think it's still very unclear. Certainly, I could see the potential. If I still use the metaphor of it's a mobile, like your phone, right? But you're just driving it in the way it's connected and its capacity and capabilities. I can't say that I've ever bought a pizza from my car while driving to work, but
Not yet.
Not yet. But I suppose it's an opportunity. And there again, I think the greatest opportunity is connecting with the dealer, or the dealer to the customer beyond the sale. Right? That's the most challenging thing for, I think, a lot of our dealers is how do you stay connected with that customer, keep them in your ecosystem, keep them as a return customer in all aspects of your dealership, but thoughtful connectivity and communication. Let's think of something as simple as battery health. Right? Electric vehicle concerns aren't necessarily going to be total miles, but it's actually going to be battery health. Now, how many charges are you going to get out of that battery before you're looking at maybe getting to the end of its lifeline? There's still a lot to be learned there, but being able to communicate with those customers on the health of their vehicle and how it ties them back to the selling dealer and the servicing dealer, I think is going to be a really powerful tool.
Available data on vehicle operation is growing and will continue to do so. What role can dealers play in predictive maintenance, and how big of an impact do you expect that to have on operations and dealer-customer relations in the next few years?
Well, I think there again, assuming getting access to all the data that is necessary, and I can't pretend to know exactly how that data is going to be shared. But if we were to imagine connectivity with these types of vehicles, there is going to be far more predictability. And I think with predictability comes an opportunity for being more efficient in your dealership, right? Being more intentional about how vehicles are returning back for your service, or the opportunity to service vehicles outside of your own dealership. When we think about the logistics of a dealership, a service drive, first thing in the morning, and cars backed up, if you knew problems were coming sooner versus having a catastrophic or an immediate loss, you could probably better plan for servicing customers' vehicles and be more intentional about it. Additional data would be there again. I go back to my item of connectivity and keeping clients informed about the value of their vehicle, potential trade-in opportunities, and then of course upcoming service requirements. They're again very exciting, but a lot to learn and kind of flesh out how to best use it so that customers do feel connected and cared for.
Dave, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. We hope you've all enjoyed this discussion with Ally Insurance about challenges and solutions to selling and servicing today's high-tech vehicles. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you, Tom.